16th of November, Rabbi Levitt, Gomorrah.
Oh, let's see. Here's my Gomorrah in Bava Kama.
You can wake up, Lou. It's okay.
I got your newsletter article. Thank you.
You're welcome. It's what I remember to send it. I don't remember if I send it some Monday night. If not, then I remember when I wake up Tuesday morning. So you got it like before I went to shul in the morning.
That's why I tried to send back a thank you so that you know I got it.
You got it. All right.
Okay. We're still looking for the Gomorrah in Bava Kama. Took it out, and I put it somewhere. Where did I put it? Oh, that's really something. Maybe I left it in here. Yeah, left it in there. Okay, Baruch Hashem. Okay. Let's see. Not marked off where we got up to, as usual.
My
So,
note is on 88A, about 2/3 down. Marbre de Ravina Amar.
okay.
No, you read before that. We didn't talk about the Gazlan. The Ella Tite Megazlan, whether you should learn it from the Rabba. We didn't do that.
That's it. That's where we got up to. Okay, so Tesi Migazlan, we want to learn from Gazlan that Rashi, tell us what it is that we want to learn from Gazlan exactly. Yeah, let's take a look at Rashi. Rashi, Nivra Masto, Mi Gazlan.
We didn't. We haven't read that part of the Gemara either. That little bit.
Oh, okay. So let's read that. Roy's coming in. Baruch Hashem. Okay, so welcome back, Roy.
Thank you.
So we're gonna call upon Roy, who just came in, to read from the Gomorrah.
Okay.
You probably want to know where you want to read from. So maybe Luke can tell you where to read from.
I got it. It's 88, 83, left column, near the bottom. Ella Tite Begazlan. Learn it from the Gazlan.
Ela Tise Megazlan. Rather, let a slave's disqualification for testimony come from the case of a robber.
Oh, okay.
The Kol V'chomer. Ma Legazlan. What comparison can be made to a robber who is disqualified from testifying? Shechein ma'asin garamu law. Since indeed his actions caused him to be disqualified. Ta'ama ba'ava ba'aveh. Can you say the same about a slave? Of Maved. Ta'ama ba'eved. Can you say the same about a slave? She'ain ma'asoiv gomur law. whose actions did not cause him to be ineligible to testify. With the Kal V'chomer refuted, the Gomorrah concludes, Elor Tisei Migazalan Umachad Mahanach. Rather, let the slave's disqualification for testimony come from another and from one of these other cases, woman or a minor, by a common characteristic teaching.
Okay, let's see what that means exactly. Rashi's gonna explain us what that is referring to. Literally, what it means is learn out from a combination of Goslin and Chad Michanach, one of those other ones that we were trying to learn out from, presumably the Ish and the Katan. Okay, and let's take a look at Rashi Dibur Maskil Mi Goslin. The Gemara wanted to learn out from Goslin. How could the Gemara learn out from Goslin that an Eved is Pasal Edis? See that?
Goslin, Rashi starts, the Ra'ui Levo the Kahal, because somebody for Goslin is he's eligible to come into the congregation. He's still considered a yid, and he's Pasal Edis, and he will be Pasal Edis. Exceed, because it says El Al Tese Yedecha. Don't place your hand. I guess that's the admonition about thievery. Koloma to say Al Tese Rasha. The Chamesh Aid.
The Hamas aid.
The Tamas Aid.
Let's take a look at this pasuk. This is just too few words to really be able to understand what Rashi's saying over here. You got a citation to this pasuk that Rashi's quoting in Shmos Chaf Gimel. Shmos Chaf Gimel, and then we have a Source of Shas also sends us to Gomorrah and Sanhedrin, Chav Zayin Amud Aleph. It darshans this pasuk. So let's pull out a Sanhedrin in Chav Zayin 27. Okay. Oh, this looks like one of the Aseres Adibros. It's in looks like it's in Parshas Yisro. Shmos Chaf Gimel. Osisa Shema Shav. Don't use the name of Hashem in vain. Al Tashes Yadcha Im Russia. Don't place your hand together with a Russia. Lios Eid Hamas, to be an Eid Hamas, a witness of iniquity. Okay, so that's the pasuk, and the Gemara over here learns from that pasuk. On this page, we're just looking for where it is that the where it says this pasuk, Darshans. Oh, it's right at the beginning of the, on the top of the page. Anybody who's following with a Sanhedrin, Gomorrah Sanhedrin, Chav Zayin Amud Aleph, 27a. It'll be in the first page of your art scroll on 27a. Fehu nifsal midina the asid Russia who Torah Umrah. Oh, we're right in the middle of a discussion over here in the Gomorrah over here. We're a discussion whether the Eidim Zomimim are retroactively disqualified from the time that they said their Eidus, or whether only from the time that they were proven to be Eidim Zomim in Besdin. Only from that time their Eidus is disqualified. That's the Gemara's issue. And Abaye says, L'mafrehu nifsal. He is disqualified retroactively. All of his testimony from the moment that he opened his mouth to say this Eidus, which was later refuted in maybe could be even months later by witnesses that said you were with us in China. Because Me'idna the Asid Rushahu from that point in time that he opened his mouth to say this false testimony, he was categorized as a Russia. The Torah Umrah, the Torah says, Al tashes yodcha im Russia. Don't place your hand together with a Russia to be a false witness. Now, so far, we don't see anything this has to do with a Goslin, unless you want to say a Goslin is a Russia. But
If it says don't place your hand with an evildoer, that's a general thing for any evildoer.
Roy Levo B'Kahal Apostle Edis. Well, here we're talking about.
It would include a robber.
Here the pasuk is talking about don't join your hands together with a Russia to be a false witness. That's what the pasuk is talking about, to be a witness. And Rashi is saying that Rashi is saying that this pasuk is the source for a Goslin being Pasal Edis. And so Rashi says, do you see from this pasuk, Kloimar al tashes Russia, the Hamas aid, don't put a Russia who has done Hamas. Hamas is another word for Gezel, to be an aid, to be a witness. So that's the source for the Goslin being Pasal Edis, and so therefore he's not allowed to be a witness, and in spite of the fact that he doesn't lose his achba, he's still roy levo b'kahal. He's still fit to marry a full-fledged Jewess, if anybody wants to marry him. But he's technically speaking, he's fit, unlike an Eved. And so what's the limud exactly? Yeah, it seems to be it's not so clear from the Gomorrah, but it would seem that the Gomorrah is trying to do the same thing that it did before with the Isha. To say, even though the Isha is kosher levo b'kahal, she's allowed to marry into the congregation of the Jewish people. So she has that strength, in spite of the fact that she was invalidated by the pasuk from being a witness. So therefore, we would say, all the more so, would an Eved who is not Roy Levo B'Kahal, that he would be that he would be that he would also be a puzzle as an aid. And so over here you have the same sort of thing. The Goslin, if we sort of bat a blind eye to the fact that he's a Russia, but in any case he is he's Roy Levo B'Kahal, and even though he's Roy Levo B'Kahal like Anisha is, he's Pasal Edis. So all the more so we should say an Eved who's not even Roy Levo B'Kahal. He's not Roy Levo B'Kahal, and so therefore all the more so he should be Pasal Edis. That seems to be what the Gemara's understanding is over here. And on that, the Gemara answered, no, but Goslin has he's got a weakness in his case, which an Eved does not have. What's his weakness? It's not really Kal V'chomer, because we could point to a case, we could point to a fact that the Eved is much stronger than him. And maybe for that reason, the Eved will be yes kosher le'edis. Mala Goslin shekain masav gomelo. The whole reason why he's pasal edis is because he did something to cause himself to be pasal edis, because he became a Goslin. But an Eved didn't do that. Tomar be'Eved she'ein masav gomelo. Would you say the same thing about an Eved? He didn't do anything to make himself invalidated from being a witness. So it's not a good Kal V'chomer from Goslin. Rashi, there's no Rashi. Okay, then the Gemara says, okay, let's take the Goslin out of it in part. We're going to learn out, I guess, like a Tzad Shava between the Goslin and Chad Mihanach. From Goslin and from the din of one of those that we know are also invalidated from being a witness, such as the Isha or a Katan. And to say that just like they are Pasal Edis, so too an Eved would be categorized similarly to them, and he would be Pasal Edis. Let's see how Rashi explains it. This is Rashi Dibur Maskil Migazlin B'Chad Mihanach.
Okay, we're going to learn from these. One of these, one of these, the Hatzad Shava, and the common characteristic that's in them. She'enam Zahirim, all the mitzvahs, that they're not careful about all the mitzvahs, they're not required to do all the mitzvahs. Zahirim, particular in all the mitzvahs.
The Goslin and yeah, that's right.
In all the mitzvahs.
Rashi doesn't identify who the other one is.
This one, because of his wickedness, so to speak. This one's not commanded.
So we got the Goslin over here. And then Chad Michanach, one of the other persons that are puzzle edis, such as a Isha or a Katan, I would assume. And so in other words, we can't learn a Kal V'chomer from a Gazlan. We cannot learn a Kal V'chomer from an Isha or from a Katan, because they all have a weak side in comparison to the Eved, who has got a strong side in comparison to them. So it's not a Kal V'chomer, but we're going to learn Eitzad Shava. So we're going to say, just like a Gazlan and the Isha or the Katan, they've got a common factor. They have, and therefore they're puzzle edis. So too, the Eved, he's got that common factor in common with them as well, and he's going to be therefore puzzle edis. He fits into the group. What is that common factor that we are talking about over here? Rashi says the common factor is Hatzad Shaba Shebehen. Common factor is She'enam Zihirim B'chol HaMitzvahs. I don't know why Rashi uses this word Zahirim. I guess because he cannot use that they're not commanded in all the mitzvahs, because a Gazlan is commanded in all the mitzvahs. So we have to say it in a different way. That's what's bothering Rashi, and he has more explanation. All of them have in common, meaning the Gazlan and the Katan or the Isha and the Eved, they all have in common this Sadashava, that they're not Zahirim in all of the mitzvahs. And then Rashi says, we don't care why it is that they're not Zahirim, that they don't perform all the mitzvahs. I guess that's what it means. They don't perform all the mitzvahs. They're not Zahir. They're not careful to perform all the mitzvahs. What does that mean? For Gazlan, it's because of his rishus. He doesn't perform all the mitzvahs. He doesn't perform the mitzvah of lo sigzol. So he's not Zahir in all the mitzvahs, even though he is commanded. And a Isha or a Katan, a Katan is not Zahir in all the mitzvahs because he's not commanded in all the mitzvahs. And likewise an Isha, not commanded in all the mitzvahs. So therefore they're not Zahir. They don't practice all the mitzvahs. And that we could say this, and they, when we see that they are puzzle edis, so we're making a postulation over here through this Sadashava, and saying just like these people, they've got all this common factor between them, and they are all puzzle edis. So too, let's say that the Eved, he belongs right there in that group with this Sadashava, that he's also not Zahir in Kol HaMitzvahs, and therefore he will also be in that group, which is Pasula Edis. Yeah, that's what it is. Okay. And what does the Gemara have to say about that? Is the Gemara going to accept this? Let's read on. Mar Berei de Ravina Amar. Alan, would you like to read for us?
Okay, what page are we on now?
We are on
3, right-hand column.
Gomorrah presents a new source.
Yeah.
Okay. The Gomorrah presents a new source for slaves disqualification for testimony. Mayor Baris, the Omar, the son of Ravina, said, Omar Kara, lo yuma so su or Ros al Bonim. The verse states, fathers shall not be put to death because of sons. This teaches that lo yom musu al pi avos she'ein lohem chayim bornim. People should not be put to death through the testimony of fathers who have no genealogy relationship to their sons. The Esau Kor da Torch ki the Rinan, for it enters your mind that the verse is needed entirely for what we said in Sanhedrin. Lo Yumersu or Ros al Bonim, fathers shall not be put to death because of sons. Ba'adus Bonim, meaning through the testimony of their sons. Levitt 2, Manoah, Lo Yomusu or Ros al Nehem, let the merciful one write, fathers shall not be put to death because of their sons. My Bonim, why does the Torah state the more general expression sons? Shema minor De'u Yomusu al pi or Ros she'en lahem chayim bonim. Learn from it that people should not be put to death through testimony of fathers who have no genealogy relationship to their sons. This teaches that a slave is unfit to testify.
Okay. The most that I got out of this is that we see that the Gomorrah didn't ask a question on our Teisei Migazlin Mechad Mechanach. So it would seem that the Gomorrah is accepting that as an acceptable proof that a Goslin and that an Eved in fact is Pasal Edis. And if so, then the Rabbanan are gonna be vindicated, because they're gonna say, we even though it's true the Eved, according to us, he has achva, and the pasuk which says an aid, in order to be an aid, has to have achva. True, but what? But we have this tzadashab over here, which nevertheless apostles the Eved from being an aid, even though he does have achva according to the Rabbanan. So that'll be the answer that the Rabbanan will say to the Gomorrah's challenge to them. According to you, Rabbanan, an Eved should be a kosher witness. No, the Rabbanan will be able to say, we got this Sadashab over here from Gazlan Chad Michanach. That's what is the reason why he is Pasal La'edis, in spite of the fact that he does have Achva, because he's the Achiv Hu B'mitzvahs. Okay, so the Gomorrah didn't ask about that, so that the Gomorrah accepts. But it does seem that the Gomorrah is going on to try to make another proof that an Eved is Pasal La'edis, which is interesting. Usually if you have one good proof, so that's good enough. Over here we see the Gomorrah wants to bring another proof as well. Now, after that, more than that, we're going to have to look into this one again. It seems seems a bit complicated over here. What is the Gomorrah saying over here? Mar Berei de Ravina. Omar. He brings this pasuk, Lo Yumsu Abus Albanim. And he says that he darshans that this pasuk is to be interpreted to say, Lo Yumsu Al Pi Avos She'elem Chayes Bonim. One cannot be chayav misa, subject to misa's bezdin, in the case where the testimony was made by someone who does not have chayas bonim. Now, what does chayas mean over here? Chayas means that we trace that there is a lineage connection between father and son.
That's what Rashi says. It means yachas. It's yichus. It's the connection of the chain.
Yeah, that's what chayas is. Let's take a look at Rashi.
That's what Rashi says. He's telling you it's yichus. It's yachas
bonim. Yachas bonim.
Right, which means the yichus, the connection, the family connection of the son. So it has to be a direct family connection, not anybody else.
Right. Okay. The next Rashi, we got another Rashi. Lo yumsu avos al bonim.
Lo yamusu avos al bonim. I don't know if we did this yet. Father should not.
Yeah, that's.
Of course, the sons. Lo yamos. Shum Adam, and no man should die. Alti on the mouth of mi she'ein bano miuchas, someone who's not his real son, his son that's a descendant there, that's related to him.
If the person who's testifying does not have a son who's called his son.
His son, the Nikra al Shem, he's called the name al Shem Achiv, called the name of his father. But he is, but they are an Eved, he's a slave. He's not called on his father's name, the Eved.
I know Eved meaning, and that is the case by the Eved. That is exactly the case by the Eved. The Eved does not have chayas bonim. If he has a biological son, right? He's got a biological son. So that son is not he doesn't inherit his father. He doesn't inherit his biological father. He's not regarded in the halacha as being the son of this Eved Kanani. So what the pasuk is saying is that if you have a witness that doesn't have chayas banim, so he cannot be a witness to testify that somebody is chayiv misa. And then Rashi says Hainu Eved, and that exactly describes an Eved. He doesn't have chayas banim. So I guess we're in other words, we're saying from this pasuk, we see from this pasuk that an Eved is not fit to be a kosher. He's pasul la'edus. He's not fit to be a witness. Okay, now the next step. Alan read this also, but we got to go over this. The Gomorrah says the isoka daita kidamrinan lo yumsu abaso bonim but edis bonim. If you thought to say that the intention of this pasuk is kedamrinan, like it says in the like it says over there in the Gomorrah that we read in Sanhedrin. I don't know if we read this part, but that's what it says over there. Lo yumsu avos o bonim be'edus bonim. And the Gomorrah says that what we mean over here is that the avos should not be put to death based upon the edus of the bonim. Now, according to that, all the Gomorrah is learning this pasuk to say is that a son could not testify against his father. has nothing to do with an Eved.
You're talking about a biological son, right?
Biological and even according to Yichus as well. He's biological and he's a halachic son as well. What the Gomorrah I think is doing over here is saying, if you would try to deny the way that we've interpreted the pasuk in the previous stage of the Gomorrah, and say that, oh no, the pasuk is not talking about an Eved. The pasuk is not coming to exclude an Eved. It's just telling us that a father could not be subject to the death penalty based upon the testimony of his biological and his halachic son. Let's say that, because if it would be that would be the proper interpretation of the pasuk, says the Gemara, Lichtov Rachmana lo yumsu avos al bneihem. If that would be the way that the pasuk is to be read, it should not have said banim, it should have said bneihem. A father cannot be put to death because of the edus of their sons that testified against them. It would have had to say bneihem, claims the Gemara. My banim. So why did the pasuk just say banim? Shmamina. From there we can learn out delo yumsu al pi avos she'ein lehem chayes banim. We're saying, in other words, we're defending and attempting to prove the correctness of the way we originally darshan this pasuk, which excludes an Eved from being a kosher witness. Since it didn't say b'neihem and it said banim, therefore we can conclude that what the pasuk means is that people in general cannot be put to death based upon fathers, biological fathers, in other words, she'ein lehem chayes banim, that do not have a chayes to their biological son. They don't have a halachically recognized yachas to their son. And who is that? Who fits the bill? That's the Eved.
What about an adopted son?
Adopted son is
No biological relationship there.
yeah, there's in that case it's even less of a connection. There's not even a biological one. So all the more so there's no halachically recognized connection between the foster parent and the foster child. Right? Here we're talking about an Eved who that is his son. There's no doubt about it. He was born in the hospital to his. I guess there is some doubt about it because we don't really know who the father is. But all things aside, let's just say that the Gomorrah actually asks that question about not an Eved but about a Jewish man and his wife. How do we know that it's? How do we know that the child she gives birth to is her husband's son? The Gemara says, that we go according to the majority. There's an overwhelming majority, and that's good enough. And interesting, based upon that rule of majority, we regard that son as the halachic son of the father. And we know what the ramifications of that are in halacha. If this son right? If he does something to his father for which the Torah says he's chayiv misa for, he's going to be executed. And we don't say, oh, how do we know that it's really the son? Maybe it's not the son. And here we have a case of Mrs. Besdin. Can we activate Mrs. Besdin against this son? We don't know that he's the son altogether. Maybe he's not even the biological son. But the Gemara says no. We can rely on the majority. Majority of cases, it certainly is the son, and therefore we go according to the majority. So based upon the majority, we can say that the son is chayiv misa. Okay, that's an interesting tidbit. It doesn't really have anything to do with what we're saying over here, but it is interesting. And anyway,
Okay,
that's it.
take care.
Oh,
That's
once
it. It's
again,
over.
wow, time flies.
So-
Okay. Okay, everybody, have a great day.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Enjoy
Thank you
your
very much, Rabbi Levitt.
enjoy the wonderful weather that we have.
See you tomorrow morning, Lou.
All right.
Yeah, tomorrow. Meets Hashem.
Oh, I'm not sure. I don't know if I will be tomorrow.
What's that?
Sure. Yeah. Lou,
Yes?
could you please? I forgot to tell Rabbi first. I'm